December 2013 began like any other winter month in Oakland, California. For 13-year-old Jahi McMath, life was full of school, friends, and family. She was scheduled for a routine tonsillectomy, a common procedure meant to improve her health and quality of life. Her parents, eager to see their daughter recover quickly, brought her to Children's Hospital and Research Center, trusting the medical team to care for her safely. They expected a short surgery and a straightforward recovery, nothing more than a temporary disruption in her normal life. But what happened in the hours after her procedure would forever change the course of their lives. The surgery itself appeared to go smoothly, and initial recovery seemed promising. But soon after the procedure, Jahi began experiencing complications. Excessive bleeding alarmed the medical staff, prompting urgent intervention. Despite aggressive treatment, her condition worsened rapidly, and she suffered cardiac arrest. The emergency team worked frantically to revive her, but the situation was dire. After careful evaluation and multiple tests, doctors delivered the devastating news: Jahi was brain dead. The family was stunned. For them, the girl they had dropped off for a routine surgery was now medically and legally declared dead. The term brain dead carried weight, yet in their hearts, they saw subtle movements and signs they believed indicated life. Doctors explained that brain death was irreversible, that Jahi could never recover, and that legally she was deceased. Her parents struggled to reconcile this reality with what they observed. They refused to accept the hospital's conclusion, believing their daughter's life was not over. Legal battles began almost immediately. Jahi's family filed to prevent the hospital from removing life support, arguing that she showed signs of life that contradicted the brain death diagnosis. The case drew national attention, with journalists covering court hearings and updates on her condition. Lawyers debated the definition of death and the legal rights of families to contest medical decisions. Medical experts presented conflicting opinions on whether Jahi's observed movements were neurological reflexes or signs of consciousness. The courtroom became a battleground for science, law, and human emotion. As the legal process unfolded, the family faced mounting pressure. They had to navigate complex hospital bureaucracy, relentless media attention, and emotional turmoil all at once. Supporters from around the country rallied behind them, while skeptics questioned their motives and understanding of medical science. Every day brought new updates from doctors, lawyers, and court decisions. The parents' determination to preserve their daughter's life remained unwavering. They were determined to ensure she would continue receiving care, regardless of the challenges. Jahi was eventually transferred to a long-term care facility equipped to provide 24-hour support. The move was both a logistical and emotional challenge, requiring extensive planning and coordination between medical staff, legal representatives, and family members. At the facility, Jahi continued to receive mechanical ventilation, nutrition through a feeding tube, and continuous monitoring of her vital signs. Her parents visited daily, talking to her, brushing her hair, and attempting to maintain a connection. They believed these small acts were essential to preserving her dignity and nurturing the life that, to them, still existed. The case sparked national debates over the definition of death. Medical professionals explained the concept of brain death, the complete and irreversible loss of brain activity, which is legally considered death. Families, ethicists, and legal experts debated whether the traditional medical definition should be revisited in light of cases like Jahi. Questions arose about whether biological signs of life, such as a beating heart or breathing with assistance, should influence the determination of death. The story highlighted the tension between medical authority and parental rights, forcing society to grapple with complex ethical dilemmas. Supporters of Jahi's family argued that modern medicine allowed for extraordinary care, and that families should have a voice in end-of-life decisions. Opponents emphasized the importance of adhering to legal definitions to prevent confusion and protect medical practice. Bioethicists debated whether maintaining life support in such situations honored or undermined the dignity of the patient. Religious leaders weighed in, offering moral perspectives on life, death, and hope. The media amplified these debates, with stories appearing in newspapers, online platforms, and television programs nationwide. Jahai's story became a symbol of the broader conversation about life, death, and medical ethics. Meanwhile, the family's day-to-day life revolved entirely around Jahai. They coordinated her care, navigated legal proceedings, and maintained a semblance of normalcy for themselves and their other children. Friends and extended family offered support, bringing meals, helping with errands, and providing emotional comfort. Social media became a platform for advocacy, as supporters shared updates, raised awareness, and offered encouragement. The parents' unwavering commitment inspired many, while also attracting criticism from those who questioned the practicality or ethics of their decisions. Every day was a mixture of hope, fear, and determination. Medical teams at the long-term care facility continued to provide meticulous care. They monitored her vital signs, adjusted medications, and ensured her environment was stable and safe. For them, the case was as much about ethics and empathy as it was about medicine. Staff often reflected on the uniqueness of the situation, balancing their professional knowledge with respect for the family's wishes. Each decision carried immense responsibility, as mistakes could have serious consequences. Despite the challenges, they worked diligently to maintain her stability and honor the family's goals. The months following Jahai's transfer were filled with routine medical care intertwined with extraordinary legal and emotional challenges. Her parents remained steadfast, visiting every day, speaking to her as if she could understand, and performing small gestures of care. They documented her movements, breathing patterns, and any subtle response, hoping to prove that she was alive despite the brain death diagnosis. Legal teams continued to battle in court, debating the limits of parental authority versus hospital responsibility. Media coverage painted a complex picture, some sympathetic, others critical, but all fascinated by the unprecedented situation. Jahai had become a national symbol, embodying the conflict between medical science and family advocacy. Her case prompted discussions among medical professionals about the adequacy of brain death tests. Some argued that the criteria were clear and universally accepted, while others highlighted the potential for rare anomalies. Physicians revisited her records, evaluating every observation and test, trying to determine if anything had been overlooked. Bioethicists questioned whether legal definitions of death were sufficient to encompass cases like Jahai. The debate was not just theoretical. It had profound real-world implications for patients, families, and medical institutions. Questions about consent, ethics, and human dignity became central to discussions in hospitals and universities alike. The family found small moments of hope amid the struggle. A slight change in skin color, the rise and fall of her chest, or a reflexive movement were celebrated as signs that their daughter was still with them. These moments reinforced their belief that life persisted, motivating them to fight tirelessly. Each day spent at her side was a mixture of routine care and emotional vigilance. Friends and supporters often visited, bringing encouragement and comfort. The hospital staff, though professionally committed, also shared in the emotional weight of these observations, knowing the family's hope was anchored in them. Meanwhile, the media continued to follow the story, broadcasting updates and interviews. Some outlets focused on medical and legal aspects, while others highlighted the human story of a family refusing to give up. Public opinion was divided. Some sympathized with the family's struggle, while others criticized what they viewed as prolonging an inevitable outcome. Ethicists, lawyers, and doctors were regularly invited to comment, turning Jahai's situation into a national conversation. Debates emerged about whether similar cases should be handled differently in the future. Her story was no longer just a family tragedy. It had become a societal case study on the boundaries of life and death. Legal rulings over the months affirmed the complexity of the situation. Courts grappled with the question of whether families could override a hospital's determination of death. Jahai's parents argued that the legal definition did not account for her apparent signs of life and their hope for continued recovery. Judges considered medical testimony, ethical arguments, and the family's rights, often issuing rulings that balanced legal precedent with compassion. The protracted legal process added stress to the family while also setting precedents for future cases. The courtroom battles became as much a part of the story as the medical care itself. Medical professionals used Jahai's case to educate students and colleagues about the nuances of brain death. Seminars, conferences, and journal articles analyzed her situation in depth. Topics ranged from legal definitions of death to ethical dilemmas in long-term care of brain-dead patients. Many professionals acknowledge the emotional toll such cases take on both families and staff. The lessons learned informed future